Hello, Canada. Welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. Well, we got a fair amount to go over here. We have China executing Canadians. Two more just got done in yesterday. We know for sure one of them, they released the name. I'm not going to say names or anything yet because it really hasn't been, like I say, I just want to post the truth here. But we do know that they are drug-related charges. That much has been pretty much solidified. We're going to dabble onto how the media is twisting this whole Trump thing again. We have 6 teenagers caught, and the cool thing is the footage from the helicopter trying to rob a jewelry store in Ontario. Terrorism charges laid against a guy in Winnipeg, and maybe a couple other stories depending on time. Let's start with the executions in China.
We begin with some breaking news, and Global Affairs Canada confirms they are aware of Canadians being executed earlier this year in China. This is just coming in. In a statement, Global Affairs says Canada strongly condemns China's use of the death penalty, which is irreversible and inconsistent with basic human dignity. Canada repeatedly called for clemency for these individuals at the senior-most levels and remains steadfast in its opposition to the use of the death penalty in all cases everywhere.
This is funny coming from the Liberal government who legalized, which like I say, I'm kind of a libertarian. I believe a person has the right, if they're in pain, or as long as they're of sound mind, to end their life. Some people may disagree with me. Let me hear how you feel in the comments. Problem being is the way that they've set it up. I've seen this firsthand. The process is incredibly painful. For those of you who don't know, you drown to death, but you can't do anything about it. And this has already been proven. And second of all, a lot. Now, I haven't quite figured all the stats out, but it's looking like 20% or more are doing it because they can't get the health care needed in Canada. And they're too broke to leave and get it done somewhere else. And even though the government likes to say, oh, well, if you find it out of country, we will pay for it, that is a lie. I personally know that is a lie. Now, let's move on.
They go on to say they are providing consular assistance to the victims' families. No names have been released. They also say Canada continues to advocate for clemency for Robert Schellenberg and are providing him and his family with consular assistance. Well, let's bring in for more Veena Najibullah, Vice President of Research and Strategy at the Asia Pacific Foundation. Thanks so much for your time. So just firstly, can I get your reaction to this news of these executions?
Thank you for the invitation. Well, this is a deeply alarming development, and it's a stark reminder of the nature of the Chinese Communist Party and its regime. And again, we don't have a lot of the details, but execution of Westerners in China is rare. The last such known case, publicly known case, was more than 10 years ago. While China executes more people than any other country in the world, it is rare for them to do this with foreigners. So this is a deeply troubling development.
Okay, if it's rare, what do we know any information about what sparked this, what caused them to execute these prisoners?
We don't have a lot of information. As you mentioned, this is a developing story. The information just came out this morning in the Globe and Mail. From the reaction from the Chinese statement that was issued earlier this morning as well, it seems like it's drug-related charges, which is the case in China. They do execute 4 drug-related charges, as well as more than 44 other non-violent crimes are punishable by death sentence in China. So, and again, there are more than 100 Canadians that we are aware of that are in Chinese prisons right now. The details of these particular cases are not known, but again, it's something that is a reminder of the kind of regime that we're dealing with in China.
What does it mean more?
Now, this is a big thing to me. I don't know how you feel. Again, let me know in the comments. But how is the media treating Trump versus China? Think carefully about this. Have we pulled Chinese liquor off the shelves, considering there's 100% tariffs against us, not just 25 from Trump? Are we labeling all of their stuff? Are we talking about it in the media? We've had Atlantic Canada and BC Canada, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, all going to suffer, and I believe they come in tonight at midnight, these tariffs. And our government has done nothing because they're irrelevant to the elitist, centrist provinces. They don't care about you. They don't care. Atlantic Canada, they don't care about you. Yes, they do give you a little bit more than the West. Why? Because you guys are more liberal than the West is. But other than that, you're just being used even more because they know they can't secure the votes in Saskatchewan and Alberta. We're dealing with one of the nastiest, and they flood our shelves with their crap made by very poor working conditions. You can pretty much call it slavery because they deal with third world countries. They execute people all the time. They have prisoners like the Uyghurs and other organizations and sects within China that they hunt down and they jail. Some of them they'll feed high protein diets to and use their hair to sell. And when they're bulked up, they kill them and remove their organs and sell it to the rich. And yes, there are Canadians that go there for these operations. Zero mention of this in the media. This we've known about for decades. Why are we dealing with this country? Why have we put ourselves in a position where their goods have flooded our market and taken away the ability for us to produce those products? How come we don't have our own phone companies like manufacturers? We have the technology. I mean, for years we were leading in phone technology. Gone. Because the taxes in society in our country suppress us. These guys got to be dealt with. We need to remove them. And I'm not saying go crazy and just do it right now, but we need to be serious and start weaning ourselves off of China. We have to eliminate them. Completely. We're going to move on to how the media is twisting this whole Trump endorsement. Listen carefully to the words. The media is just so biased, it's crazy.
So, Scott, good morning to you. Let's begin with the comments that Trump made about Pierre Poilievre and how it's being interpreted by Poilievre and the Liberals.
Oh boy, that stirred up the hornet's nest, didn't it? Because what no one wants in this campaign that's coming very soon, this general election we're going to be having, is Trump's endorsement. No one wants Trump to touch them. No one wants Trump to bless them. That's the taint. You don't want to be anywhere near it. Which begs the question, is this what it looks like? Is Donald Trump actually endorsing Mark Carney? Or is he giving us a head fake and pretending to endorse Mark Carney because he really wants the Conservatives? So they're having this ridiculous fight. One thing we know for sure, this gets political tongues a-wagging, and boy, did the Conservatives jump on it fast. They look so thirsty. See, he's endorsing Mark Carney. This is the theater of politics, and we're going to get plenty of it in the next 30, 40 days.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show that whatever Trump says, all the campaigns are going to glob onto it and spin it the way they want the Canadian public to see it.
Well, and this is going to be the defining characteristic of this federal campaign. We know that the ballot question is going to be, who do you think is best suited to deal with Trump? Who do you think is best suited to deal with these frictions with the United States? And that's why it does when he intervenes like this. That's why we will see so much action and energy around it. Just as we saw how it affected on a day-by-day basis the Ontario campaign that we went through just a few weeks ago. So all I can say with certainty is this. We will hear more from Trump And it will also affect our daily news coverage, our daily attitude, and our daily, sort of approach to this coming election campaign. This thing's going to be the Trump election, whether we like it or not.
Speaking of this campaign.
And by the way, yes, Poilievre came out. He already had a rally that he was going to. So don't listen to how they were wording it. And at his rally, he did bring it up, which is smart. I mean, duh. Where has Carney been? He's been locked behind closed doors in a private meeting with other liberals. He still hasn't called Trump. He still hasn't reached out. He still hasn't talked to China. He's doing nothing but going around on our tax dollars, campaigning. And he hasn't even dropped the writ. No call for an election. Our tax dollars are paying for this. He's not an elected official. He has no right, as far as I'm concerned, to be in our plane, flying around our country, advertising himself with these idiots. These guys in the plane with them. Oh, this is great. Carney. Ooh, Carney. Listen.
And we don't know when it's going to be. I'd like to get your take on that in just a second. But whenever the election is called and the campaign starts, we've learned that the Conservatives are not going to be allowing media to travel with Pierre Poilievre. What do you make of this?
I don't like it. And there's a lot of legitimate reasons for this. We've seen the ability of media organizations to pay. We've seen the willingness of media organizations to pay to be part of what we call, the media plane, the media bus, the media tour.
Pay with what? Our tax dollars? He doesn't want any government-funded media. In other words, propaganda. I totally salute him for doing this. 100% back what he's doing. It's our tax dollars that keep these guys in business. Why am I paying for these guys to be in business? CBC has such a low viewing audience. I think it's like 3% or even less of Canadians watch CTV or CBC. It's ridiculous. $1.45 billion? What? Do you know how many media outlets can be ran for that much money? Holy Jesus Murphy. Like, insane amount of money for this garbage.
We've seen their willingness to chalk up and to guarantee their presence on campaigns diminish over the course of the last number of years as, mainstream media financial models have shifted. But there is a fundamental underlying principle here, which is that those who are seeking to be prime minister and to run the country ought to subject themselves on a constant and consistent basis to hard probing and questioning.
Poilievre does. He doesn't pick the media like Carney and Trudeau and all of the rest of the liberals do. And they do this. Literally, they kick journalists out. Real licensed journalists. I'm not a licensed journalist. This is just a media outlet. I just try and give you the truth with a little bit of opinion. That's all. These guys are supposed to be professionally trained journalists, ticketed. They're insured and licensed media outlets. He's constantly asking every media outlet to come. Ask him any question you want. He is the most transparent, he's not prime minister yet, but leader of a party I've seen yet. He answers all the questions, and he's incredibly truthful. And like CBC and CTV and Global, some of the questions they ask, I've shown you on previous episodes. It's ridiculous. Like even asking him if he would step aside to allow the Liberals to maintain their government. What? That's not a media outlet anymore. That's not a media outlet. These people are completely like lucid.
They should. This will mean that there will be less media scrutiny of the Conservative campaign. Already we see that they frequently give preference, to online media organizations who have less rigorous editorial practices or openly partisan impulses. And, whether it's prime ministers who are liberal that try to duck media press conferences, or whether it's conservatives saying, we don't want a media plane, we'll just deal with a couple of local media here and there and call it a day.
Did you hear what he said? This is propaganda 101, man. These guys are absolutely crazy. Jesus.
This is not good. Democracy runs best in the presence of sunshine. Part of the job of reporters, whether politicians like it or not, is to ask them tough questions and to shine that beam of sunlight into their campaign.
Now, if you've watched a lot of what I produce, I blew the lid off of so many scandals, corruption, manipulation, government interference, you name it. Have these paid media talked about it at all? Zilch. Zero. Nada. They're propaganda. This is why this is how the Liberals got voted in the first place. People like myself who pay attention to the news, I don't watch sitcoms, I don't waste my time with that. I try to live in the real world, and there's a lot of us out there that do this. We knew we were watching the real Liberals flee the party. Then we watched Trudeau get elected as leader and more flee the party. These guys didn't say crap about it. Instead, they helped to put him in power. Why? Because one of the first things he said is, I'm going to fund and increase the funding to these outlets. Bought and paid for.
Lastly, I do want to ask you about the timing of the election, because I think a lot of people are asking when it's going to be, what has to happen before that call is made. Can you give us some insight into what could be going on behind the scenes with the Liberals, with Carney's camp, and when we might see that call come down?
I think you're going to see within days. I think that with the resumption of Parliament scheduled for Monday, it's a safe bet that the new Prime Minister isn't going to want to have Parliament resume, because he then loses control of his own future. His ability to govern and the timing of the election would then be dictated by the opposition parties. They'll defeat him in the House of Commons. So my suspicion is he's going to, as we've seen this week, continue to make a few announcements, take some steps, try to reinforce the notion of himself as a new prime minister, representing change, looking prime ministerial, foreign trips, moving up to Nunavut, talking about key priorities. And then he's going to pull the plug on this thing and force the question around Trump, around tariffs, and around our economic security. And I'm guessing that
right there was the opportunity for him to tell you the truth. That he is campaigning on your tax dollar instead of out of the Liberal purse, which is how it's supposed to be done. This man doesn't even have a seat in the House. Did he bring that up? Nope. Why didn't he? He is a non-elected prime minister. They could have said that. They won't. This is propaganda. This is how they do it. These people are just completely, they're so left-leaning, they're over the cliff trying to drown Canada on the other side. And I'm so glad that we're watching their downfall. We're winning. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. The more I get spread out there, the more other outlets like myself get spread out there, the less viewers these people will get. And all it takes is for that share to somebody, or even saying my name or other media outlets, name and showing people, for them to go, oh, and then they'll switch this crap off. Or they'll watch people like myself and then go and see and realize how they've been deceived. This is how you crush propaganda. This is how it's got to be done. We're going to move on because that's enough of his verbal diarrhea. Check this out.
Nathan, this botched jewelry store robbery investigation started with a stolen vehicle in Vaughan. With York Regional Police following, they tracked the car to Markham before coming here to this parking lot at Wilson and Allen Road. What happened next was caught on camera by the police helicopter on Friday, just after 1 in the afternoon.
They're masked up. They're looking to do something. They are masked up, boys. They are ready.
At first, the suspects are looking around. It's important to note this is a heavily secured store with double locked doors. So to start, the suspects try and go in as two customers are leaving. When that doesn't work, they use hammers to try and smash the exterior windows. When that doesn't appear to work, the suspects go back to the car and police move in and hit the vehicle. Next, you see the suspects scatter in the parking lot. Police chase them all down and all are taken into custody. All the youth charged here are 16 and 17 years old. Police are calling it a blatant act and say the parking lot was full of bystanders.
Whenever I see video like this, it still gets my heart racing. You know exactly what's going on. You see just the fact that these guys are coming out here, they're going up to these doors, and you can see the speed and efficiency that the holdup unit, the 4 CIB, that our K9 and our ERU had moving in quickly. And again, it's great with this helicopter that any stragglers, anyone that's able to engage in a foot pursuit and try and flee from police, we're able to keep an eye on them for a long time. And maybe they win the short race, but we know that we're going to be able to catch up to them and get them later on because we know exactly where they are.
Police say this jewelry store took all the right precautions in terms of locked doors, buzzers, and cameras. Police say there have been 5 similar incidents like this since the start of the year in York Region, with 11 arrests made. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you.
The jewelry crimes that have been happening in Canada has just, like, they've escalated like we've never seen before. Now, the left will lose it because the way I'm going to say this, they'll misinterpret it. So I'll start off what I should normally say at the end of my sentence. I'll say at the beginning of the sentence. We had one of the most perfect and respected immigration policies in the world. And then 11 years ago, the media started calling anybody who said what we were doing was right, racist. And they opened the flood doors. And this got way out of hand. Like the butter robberies, jewelry robberies, protesting on the streets, which is actually illegal. And I've got a little clip to show you on how one lady, she just got tired of it. She just got tired of it. And now anybody who masks their face, you didn't see any of the Freedom Convoy mask their face. They were proud. They knew they were right in what they were doing. If you mask your face at a protest, why? Because you know it's wrong. You know it's wrong. You don't want the police to get your picture. You don't want people like the media to get your picture. These people go out and take pictures of anybody else around them and try to dox them. They literally hunt, not like they hurt, but they dox and they purposely harass media outlets that are trying to expose this. They do it through scare tactics. These people they're not vetted. That's why this is going on. And you have a government that has pushed through their chain of command to not do anything. To not react, which is making literally escalating the problem. This is Canada. We have laws. I don't care who you are. Follow the law. You can't parade downtown naked with your junk hanging out. That should have been banned 20 years ago. It's been illegal for ever. You can't block traffic. You can't hurt people. You can't use racist slurs where your intent is to cause harm. You have the freedom to say what you want as long as you're not threatening harm. From the river to the sea is a genocidal saying. That's Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, ISIS. We allow this on our streets. We need to start enforcing the law.
ووجوه يومئذ باسرة وقيل من راق وظن أنه الفراق الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أنعمت عليهم.
I have a lot of Muslim friends. They're completely insulted by this. Just like I said in previous episodes, every religion has good and bad. Most religions, pretty much all of them, 99% of them, are good. But there's always that little percentage that are bad. These ones are bad. They're blocking the streets off. They're purposely pressuring. They are misinforming, they are lying, and they are spewing hate, harm, and genocide. They use the religion in order to give them the right to do what they're doing. And if you were to go and clear these people out, they would scream, religious freedom. My Muslim friends don't think so. There are mosques. You have yards, you have houses, you have patios. There are parks. You are allowed to do this in a park. As long as you're not blocking traffic, pedestrian lanes, feel free. I have a lot of Catholic friends. They pray. If they hear something bad, they will literally stop in their tracks, make sure they're out of the way, and they'll pray. Nothing wrong with that. Same with the Muslim. Nothing wrong with that. This is taking it too far. They're using their religion to push hate, fear, and division. And look at the cops.
Thank you
very much.
This is an unlawful assembly here. This is un-Canadian. Palestinian Gestapo, all of you.
You hear him yell and telling him to F off? Like, these people have no respect.
Leave her.
This is a roadway.
Leave her. Leave her.
This is a roadway.
Leave her to us.
For emergency service. If we have fire or whatever, you're not allowed here. I'm a resident here.
Peace, yes, freedom, yes. Yes, we agree with you. And you don't come and harass us and then ask us this bullshit.
And this roadway is against the law to block. In Canada, it's
She
against
is
the law.
absolutely correct.
Yes.
And she lives there and is sick of it.
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
These are our roadways for safety and to get to our jobs and to go to the TTC.
I would love to accompany you.
You see them recording her?
I'm not going that way.
Okay, whichever way you want to go, you're free to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Have a wonderful time.
You see all the people recording
This is
her.
totally unacceptable with our laws.
This is what they do.
With
They'll
our
dox her
laws
now.
in Canada and Ontario, blocking the intersection is against the law. What is it you don't get here?
This is the new post-national state. And the bad thing about it is people will misinterpret this, and the good Muslims will be persecuted. They will all be bundled up and thought that they're all like this, which is so far from the truth. So far from the truth. I personally had a couple very close Palestinian friends that years ago, the November, I won't say the words, they took time off work, they flew trying to get their families out. I have not heard from them since. The stories they told me about what Hamas does and how they beat and brainwash right from birth these children is sickening. Some of them have the ability to get out. They were trying to save up money. They were trying to get their citizenship so they could get the rest of their family out. And I haven't heard from them since. These were good people. I can't even tell you what they said should be done to Hamas because I would get deplatformed, censored. We need to stand up to the few hateful in all these religions. And first step is get back to our proper immigration. We need immigration, especially now that we're taxed so high. Families can't have kids. The birth rate is dropping off like a stone. So we need it. But they got to be vetted. And they need to have the time to learn the language and the culture. It's what's made us Canada. And that's what's been ripped away from us. And we need to get back to our roots. Because if not, you end up where the disease starts to spread like it did here in Winnipeg.
RCMP have charged a Winnipeg man with a number of terrorism-related charges. 19-year-old Nevin Thunder Young was already facing 26 mischief charges laid by Winnipeg police. They came after anti-Semitic graffiti, including swastikas, were found painted in Charleswood between September and December of 2024. According to RCMP, the investigation started in February following a referral from Winnipeg police. Young is charged with 2 counts of committing an offense for a terrorist group, along with 1 count each of participating and facilitating terrorist activity. He's being held in custody at the remand center. None of the charges have been tested in court.
And this will keep growing and growing. Hate, evil begets evil. Hate is like a virus. It spreads like wildfire. And it takes the most susceptible, usually those who have had a hard life. And instead of allowing society to help and correct what's been done and to invigorate and help them choose a path towards goodness, it's easier for them to be swallowed by the hate. This is what the Liberal Party planned. Now, I'm not sure if you see what's going on in like Ireland and England. The news portrays it as hate wars, like it's some white extremist. No. They did the same thing there. And it's destroyed their countries. And the people are fighting back. And they make it seem like it's a race issue. It's not. It's an extremist issue. Get rid of the bad ones. Charge them appropriately. Do like Trump is doing and get them back to where they obviously want to be, because if they're carrying their hate here, they brought it from home. Go back and deal with that. Fix your own problems. But if you're running to get away from that because you want change and you want freedom, bring them. We take them with open arms. Canada's got to get back to reality. We need a reset. We need to remove this government and we need to correct all of this wrongdoing. What they've done to Canada is shameful, absolutely shameful. And it does no good to all of the different ethnicities that are here in Canada. It's really disheartening. It's really disheartening. That's my episode for today, you guys. Hope I got you all caught up in everything. It seems like Canadian news is just getting crazier and crazier. Rumor is the election could drop Sunday, but judging by the way that Carney and the Liberals have closed their doors, they're probably going to see a little kick in the butt in the polls, and they may not call it because that's what they've been waiting for. They've been using your tax dollars, prorogued Parliament right to the very bitter end before they'll call it in order to achieve power. This is the Liberal Party of today. What a crying shame. Well, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you are, punch that notification bell so that you don't miss any future episodes, and it helps me grow the channel. I hope you enjoyed today's show. You've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal, and I have been your host, alias Tagai.